Hi students, our social studies, production and employment unit 3 part 2. In previous class what we are discussed about, once we can recall here, we learned sectors of economy, the concept of GDP and how do we estimate GDP, the difference between final good and intermediate good, the changes in the importance of the sectors. We can come to the previous class to part 2 of the production and employment. In this session we are going to learn to know the employment, the working life in India, to examine the sectoral share of employment and share of three sectors in GDP. To know the difference between organized and unorganized sector employment in India, to analyze the role of unorganized sector in GDP. Sectors of economy, broadly we having a three sectors, that is agriculture sector, industrial sector, service sector. These are the main sectors producing the production and services. Employment, the working life in India, the gross domestic product of a country has a close relationship with the total number of working people in the country. That means the population of the country, same thing, the income is there is a positive relation. The close relationship with the total number of working people in the country and GDP. In every country, as a population increases, it is essential that the country provides opportunities for those who are looking for a work. Unless people get jobs to earn, how do they get food and other necessities to fulfill their requirements? They will get their food and other requirements, they fulfill it. Otherwise, how do they get? According to the census of India 2011, out of 1210 million persons in India, 460 million people are workers. That means out of 121 crores of the population, only 460 million people are working in India. People engaged in some productive activities. Distribution of workers in India, place of residential workers, that means the rural and urban, where they are working. In agriculture sector, 2017 and 18, 59% rural area, they are working in agriculture sector. Urban areas only 6.6%. Industries 20.4% in rural areas. That means industry is less in rural areas. Urban areas 34.3% are people working in urban areas. Service sector 19.8% of the people from rural areas. 59.1% the employees people are in from urban areas. That means the urban sectors people are working in a service sector. That means more the contribution of the urban peoples. That means repeat. More people working in a urban areas, they are working in a service sector. Distribution of workers in India 2017 and 18 based on gender. Agriculture sector 40.7% are working male workers in agriculture sector. Female workers, that is a 57.2%, they are working in agriculture sector. Industry sector 26.4% of the male, they are working in a industries. 17.7% female workers working in a industrial sector. But the service sector 32.8% of the male workers in working in service sector. Here 25.2% are female workers. That means the mainly female are working in agriculture sector. Mainly they are working in a agriculture sector, their contribution of the work in agriculture sector. When we can observing the total workers, even in a place of residency of all workers and based on their gender as all workers. Agriculture sector in rural areas 59.8%, they are working, urban 6.6%. The male population in working in agriculture sector is 40.7%, again here 57.2%. Total workers in working in agriculture sector 44.6%. Industrial sector 24.4%, Here the female workers are working in 17.7% only, urban 34.3%. Service sector, the total 31% of the workers in working in a service sector, the female workers in 25.2%, the male workers 32.8%. Here the urban areas contribution is more in the employment in the service sector. Dear students, observe the above table and fill the blanks. Already we discussed just now. Majority of the workers in agriculture are living in rural areas. Most of the dash workers are employed in agriculture sector. That means female workers are agriculture sector. Their contribution is, you can write here. Then you can observe the again in textbooks also it is there. You can observe these table and fill the answers. Even 3 and 4 also. Once you can observe and fill it. Unfortunately, in India, while there has been a change in the share of 3 sectors in GDP, a similar shift has not taken place in employment. That means GDP contribution of the 3 sectors was changed, agriculture to industry, industries to service sector. But now here the employment, it is not taken in the same place. The sectoral share of the employment in 1972-73, 74% agriculture sector contributing to the employment. Industries 11% only, service sector 15%, 1970-73. Again comes to 2017 and 18, agriculture share is only 44%. That means 74 to, that means 70 to 73, it is come down to 44%. Now industries 25%, service sector 31% of the share of employment. When we comparing 2 years side by side, 74% to in agriculture sector declines to 44%. The share of employment, it was declined in 2017 and 18. Even industry sector 11%, but latest the 25% it was increased. In previously 15% of that is 1970 to 73, 15% of the employment they working in a service sector, but now 31%. It was increased. The only decline sector is agriculture. The shift taken place, but very less. The share of employment in the 3 sectors in 1973-74 and 2015 and 16, the agriculture sector continues to be the largest employer even now also. When we comparing to these 3 sectors, the more the employees are working in the agriculture sector only. Why did not employment shift out of the agriculture sector? It is because not enough jobs were created in the industries and service sectors. More than half of the workers in the country are working in the agriculture sector, producing only 1/6 of the GDP. More than 50% of the country working in the agriculture sector, the production is but 1/6 of the GDP. The contribution in the GDP is very less. Service sector, in contrast to this, the industries and service sector producing 3/4 of the GDP, whereas they employ only about half of the proportion of the workers. Remaining half of the workers, that means 50%, below 50% of the workers in working in industries and service sector, but their contribution is more in here, in GDP. It means that there are more people in agriculture, but everyone may not be full occupied. That means many large people are working in agriculture, but they are not fully occupied. So even if people move out, production will not be affected. That means in agriculture sector working the people is more, but even their move in the other activities, the production will not affect. In this way, more number of people are engaged in than required in the agriculture. What is the required? More than that they are working in the agriculture. This is called as a disguised unemployment. This disguised unemployment, additional worker use is 0. That means marginal utility is 0. Who are working additionally in the agriculture sector, their work is automatically considered as a That means they are working, but they are not, their contribution is zero. Even they did not work in that sector, the production will not affect. That is called as a disguised unemployment. Each one is doing same work, but no one is fully employed. All people are working the same work, but no one is the fully employed. This is the situation. This is the situation of the people who are underemployed, where people are apparently working, but all of them are made to work less than their potential. That means all people are working in the same group, the same work, but their underemployment means their less than their potential. What they are working is work less than their potential. They have more potential, but they are not utilizing proper way. That is called as a underemployment. This kind of underemployment is hidden the contrast to someone who does not have a job and clearly visible as a automatically they do not have any job, automatically they clearly visible as a unemployed. This underemployment can also happen in other sectors, not only in agriculture, even other sectors also there. For example, there are thousands of casual workers in the service sector in urban areas who search for daily employment. Every day we can observe the morning time, the more of the people are standing the outside, the waiting for the work, who are coming and who will give the work. This is the urban area situation in unemployment. They are employed as a painters, plumbers, repair persons and others doing hard jobs. These are the urban areas unemployment. Many of them don't find work every day. Similarly, we see other people of the service sector on the street pushing the cart or selling something where they may spend the whole day but earn very little. They can spend the whole day, but their earning is a very little. They are doing this work because they do not have, they do not have better opportunities, so that they are working in that work. Again, gross domestic product, in previous class we discussed about this. For the country as a whole, we use the total value of final goods and services produced in the country during a year as the indicator of income for the country. The technical terms denote this is a gross domestic product. We can call it as the national income, considering as a GDP. GDP growth, same we discussed it in previous class. Now the GDP, that means 2021 is a 6.0 to 6.5, in between this. When we are observing this GDP, it is not stable in any year. This is a fluctuating, increasing or decreasing. 2016 it was 8.2, in 2017 and 18 7.2, again 18 and 19 6.8. that means it is comes down. Again here 2019 and 20 5.0, again it was increased in 6.0 to 6.5. Gross domestic product comes from the main these three sectors: agriculture sector, industrial sector, service sector. These three sectors final goods and services value we can consider as a GDP. The share of three sectors in GDP 1973-74. Agriculture sector contributing the 43% in the GDP, industrial sector 22%, service sector 35%. Even more contribution here 43% in agriculture sector. Share of the three sectors GDP in 2015 and 16, agriculture sector come down to 19% GDP, but industrial sector 28%, service sector 53%. More contribution from service sector only. That means the service sector producing the services, the recent trends has changed. Last 2 decades it was changed. The new economic reforms introduced in India, LPG was introduced, liberalization, privatization, globalization. After that the sectors of the employment and GDP contribution, it was taken place to shift agriculture to industries, industry to service sector. more contribution. Now service sector is a dominating playing the dominating role here. We are comparing the same thing, the service sector in previous 35%, now it was 53%. Drastical changes occurred here. Real GDP and per capita income over the years, when we can observe the 2011-12 to 2018 and 19, it was increasing. Sectors, employment and gross domestic product. That means the share of the employment, the share of the contribution of the GDP in these three sectors. Agriculture sector having employment 74% in 1973-74, but the GDP contribution is 43%. That is a 73-74. It is a major contribution here. In 2015 and 16, agriculture sector employment 44%. They are working in the 44% of the people. Their contribution is only 19%. Industrial sector, they are working in the 25% in 2015-16, their contribution is 28%. Service sector 31% now they are working in service employees, but their contribution is 53%. The major contribution 1972-73 is agriculture, but now it was changed into service sector. 2015 and 16 major contribution in GDP, service sector is a dominating role. While service sector has grown, all service sector activities are not growing equally well. Service sector in India employs many different kinds of people. At one hand, there are a limited number of services that employ high skilled and educated workers. At the other hand, there are the large number of workers engaged in services such as small shopkeepers, repair persons, transport persons, etc. Their services is needed. These people barely manage to earn a living, and yet they perform these service because no alternative opportunities for work are available to them. Why they are performing these activities means they do not have any alternative better opportunities, so that they are continuing that. Hence, only a part of this sector is growing in importance. These are the service sectors most dominating in the GDP. Now we can see the organized and unorganized sector in employment in India. For our country, we do not see substantial shift in employment and explore this. We use another methods of classification focusing on the nature of employment, that is organized and unorganized sector. When we are classifying these employment, we can see the two sectors, organized and unorganized sector in employment in India. Now we take an example of a organized sector. Narasimha works in a government office. He attends his office from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. He uses his motorbike to travel from his house to office about 5 kilometers away. He gets his salary regularly at the end of every month, deposited in his bank account. In addition to the salary, he also gets provident fund as per the rules laid down by the government. He also gets medical and other allowances. Narasimha does not go to office on Sunday. This is a paid holiday. When he joined work, he was given an appointment letter starting all the terms and conditions of work. Dear student, when you can observe these pictures, here Rajeshwari is working as a construction worker. She goes for work at 7 a.m. and returns home at 7 p.m. She travels about 8 to 10 kilometers daily work by bus. Construction workers get 1 hour lunch break between 1 p.m. to and 2 p.m. She gets work only 10 to 12 days a month. She gets 150 rupees per day as a wages. Mostly she is paid the wages on the same day in the evening, or when she works for the 3 or 4 days, at the same day she is paid after work is completed. And remaining days she has no work and she does not get any wages. She gets more work from February to June. July to January is unseason. Rajeshwari is a member of a self-help groups in your locality. The government will pay some compensation in case of death or major injury while she is at work. There is no help from the government for the treatment in accident while working. Suppose any unexpected accident will occur, but the government will not help for that unexpected accidental. If she death or major injury only, the government give the compensation. She is also a part of groups that works under a mason. There are 6 to 10 workers under each mason. This is a unorganized sector. Organized sector means, what is means by organized sector? Organized sector covers those enterprises or place of work where the terms of employment are regular and therefore people have assured work. They are registered by the government and have to follow its rules and regulations which are given in various laws such as the Factories Act, Minimum Wage Act, Shop and Establishment Act. These are already registered in the government. So, it is called as a organized sector because it has a formal process and procedures. Workers in the organized sector enjoy security of employment. In organized sector, job security is there. They are expected to work only for a fixed number of hours. That means 8 hours. If they work more, they have to be paid overtime at the employer. They also get several other benefits from the employer. They get paid leave, payment during the holidays, provident fund, etc. When they retire, many of these workers get pension as well. If they are working in before retirement, they get a salary. After retire, they can get the pensions. People who work in the government or with the companies, large establishments are all in the organized sectors. The unorganized sector is characterized by a small and scattered units which have remained largely outside the control of the government. That means the government without the controlling government is outside. That means they are not controlling. There are rules and regulations, but these are not followed or enforced. Jobs here are low paid and not regular. That means unorganized sector people, they do not have any job security, they do not have high pay. They also having rules and regulations, but no one is following. There is no provision for overtime paid leave, holidays, leave due to sickness. If they work only, they can get. If they having any holidays, they won't get the wages. Employment is not secure. People can be asked to leave without any reason. When there is a less work during the some seasons, some people may be asked to leave. Why? Because if the work is sufficient, then only they will work. Otherwise, they can say simply leave here. That is a unorganized sector. A lot also depends on the wisdom of the employer, changes in the market situation. Majority of workers from scheduled caste, tribes and backward communities find themselves in the unorganized sector. Most of these people are working in the unorganized sector. It is worse if one is a woman from these communities. This is a situation in the unorganized sector. Besides getting the irregular and low paid work, these workers also face social discrimination. Protection and support to the unorganized sector workers is thus necessary for both economic and social development. The unorganized sector people are getting social discrimination and they do not have any economic and social development. So, this is a need for protection for the unorganized sector. Now, we can see the organized and unorganized sectors contribution in the employment as well as gross domestic product. Organized sector employment, only 8% of the people working in the organized sector, their contribution to the GDP is 50%. Unorganized sector, 92% of the people working in the unorganized sector, their contribution is 50%. See here, 8% is organized and 92%. That means large differences are there in employment, but the domestic GDP contribution is 50%, 50%. Organized 8% also 50%, 92% people are working in unorganized sector, their contribution in the national income is only 50%. Let us examine both the production of goods and services and employment from these sectors. The unorganized sector also contributes to the GDP. During the 2004 and 5, the unorganized sector workers accounted for 92% of the workers at the contribution of the proportion. On the other hand, only 8% of the people had a decent employment and contributed 50% of the production of the goods and services. That means 8% are working in organized, they are contributing 50%, 92% also working in the unorganized sector, their contribution only 50%. Products and services of these companies find a market, but they support very small sections of the population with the privileged jobs. This is an extremely unequal situation. The reset find only insecure low paying jobs or self-employed with the low earnings remain unemployed. That means without security of the people working in the unorganized sector, they can go for self-employment also. They are getting earnings. This is the organized and unorganized sector we discussed here. Now, how to create more and better condition of employment? This is a situation, unorganized sector, 92% of the people working. These 92% of the people, majority of the people working in rural areas. So that how to create more and better conditions of the employment. The government can spend some money, or banks can provide the loan to the construct as well for our family to irrigate the land. This could be lead to a lot of employment generation with the agriculture sector itself reducing the problems of underemployment. For this, they may be required to transport their products to nearby town. If the government invests some money in transportation and storage of crops or makes better rural roads so that mini trucks reach everywhere, several farmers like Gayatri who now have access to water can continue to grow and sell these crops. Another way by which we can tackle the problems of the identify, promote and locate industries and service in semi-rural areas where a large number of people may be employed. For instance, many farmers decide grow millets and other cereals. That means the farmers are following blindly sometimes. If they follow the grow millets and other cereals, they can get the more benefits. Setting up a flour mill to the procure and sell in the cities is one such example. Opening a cold storage could give an opportunity for farmers to store their products like chilies and onions and sell when their price is good. If the local banks giving her credit at the reasonable rate of the interest, she will be able to buy these in time and cultivate her land. Suppose a rural areas getting loans from many lenders, the rate of interest is high. Suppose the banks are giving low rate of interest to the farmers will be get the benefit. In villages near forest areas, we can start honey collection centers where people can come and sell wild honey. It is also possible to set up industries that process of vegetables and agriculture produce like tomato, chilies, mango, rice, red grams, fruits, which can be sold in outside markets. This will be provided employment in industries located in semi-rural areas and not necessarily in large urban centers. Today, we not only have generated a new employment opportunity, but also train many workers to work efficiently and with the machines. We should invest in many industries in both rural and semi-urban areas so that we are able to produce many more goods and services. Now we can see the assessment. Explain the employment shifts in the sector's economy. Distinguish between organized and unorganized sector. Analyze the role of unorganized sector in GDP. Describe the problems faced by workers in the unorganized sector. Give your suggestions to create more employment in rural India. Having any doubts, you can visit our website. Thank you. Thank you very much.